On this episode of the 2020 Awards podcast, we're going to be revisiting Woody Allen's film from 1994, Bullets Over Broadway.
Well, she's better than when we started.
Yeah, sure she's better, but that don't mean she's good enough.
Well, I mean, this is something that just bothers you. I mean, the critics, her notices were decent.
Decent? Is that what you want? Decent ain't good enough. She's killing my words.
Your words? I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so she's weaker than the rest, but it doesn't seem to matter that much.
Weak. I think she's doing more damage than you think.
What am I going to do, fire her?
I can't have her ruining my show.
Your show? Since what? What are you talking about, your show?
All right, so it's our show. But I put a lot into this and it could be perfect.
Yeah, so did I, but there's concessions we have to make. The show's a hit. It's going well.
My guest today is Brian McDonald, who is a frequent visitor to the show. In addition to being a filmmaker and a screenwriter, Brian has also authored several books on storytelling, including Invisible Ink, and he works as a story consultant at the University of Washington, Disney Feature Animation, and Pixar Studios. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Sure. You're the only person that'll come, so...
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well.
It helps.
I don't know why I answer my phone when I see that name, but I do. And then,
well, it's because
I'm stuck.
I have Amy call you.
Yeah.
So, in addition to directing Bullets Over Broadway, Woody Allen was also the co-writer of the script along with Douglas McGrath. The film is set in the 1920s, and it's about a struggling playwright played by John Cusack, who's forced to cast a mob boss's girlfriend played by Jennifer Tilly if he wants to get financing for his show. During the rehearsals, Cusack discovers many of his script's flaws when Tilly's bodyguard, played by Chazz Palminteri, inadvertently starts making suggestions. Dianne Wiest received a ton of awards for Best Supporting Actress, including winning the Oscar, and the film also received 6 other Oscar nominations, including Best Original Screenplay and Director, but not for Best Picture. You've seen this film before.
I've seen this film several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you first see it?
I saw it when it first came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your impression of it back then?
I really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't remember the last Woody Allen film I'd liked before. Maybe it was Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Yeah.
And then I hadn't liked anything really. And then this came along. And then he didn't make anything I liked for a long time again.
Yeah.
And then he made Paris at Midnight, which I also liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
20 years later.
20 years. It's a long time between. I mean, a lot of people like Match Point, but I thought Match Point, I liked it when it was called Crimes and Misdemeanors. I liked that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makeup?
The makeup seemed good. Makeup and costumes. I'm gonna put those together.
I'm gonna lump costumes, art direction, and cinematography together.
Can we lump them all?
Well, all right, let's put them all together.
Okay. So. Because what I want to say about the overall look of that piece is that it feels right.
Yeah.
Everything feels right. Really appropriate. I mean, for me, that's the thing, right? A lot of people want the costumes to be showy or the photography to be showy, and I don't like any of those things. I like it to feel, I like it to disappear. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for the most part, those things disappeared. So, yeah, I like the look and feel to sort of disappear after a while.
Yeah.
I mean, at first you look at it and you're like, oh, this is the 1920s. But pretty quickly you're into the story and that's not really a part of it anymore in a really great way. There are a couple of things that the Olive character wears that are hilarious to me.
Sure.
But they seem appropriate.
Olive, played by Jennifer Tilly.
Played by Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, I was going to say about the costumes. I mean, it definitely, you're dealing with a universe where there's rich people and poor people, and the rich people look like they have money, the poor people look like they don't.
Yeah.
So the contrast there is really strong. You can just look at a character and go, oh, that person's struggling, or that person is not. Like the Olive character.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend, the gangster.
Yeah.
He's always got like a tuxedo or something.
Yeah.
Very nice clothing. And
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really, all that stuff is really well done. The look and feel of that piece seems, I guess, appropriate is the best. That's the best compliment for me.
Yeah.
Is to say that it's appropriate.
Yeah, I was going to say authentic.
Yeah.
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 There's,
you know what? Authenticity isn't the same thing, I don't think, as appropriate.
Okay.
right? That you could do something that is, a good example is in The Sting. Mm-hmm. The music, the Scott Joplin music in The Sting is too old for the time period.
Okay, yeah.
But it completely feels right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing goes for the art direction.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
it's
the place where Jennifer Tilly lives versus John Cusack's apartment.
Yeah.
Massive contrast there.
Really nice. I mean, yeah, you notice it in that you notice, these people have money. These people don't, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But you don't notice it. It doesn't stand out it's not a showpiece for the sets.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or the costumes or whatever.
Yeah. Something I just thought of, too, is the lighting in both of those environments. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Tilly's place, very bright.
Yeah.
And Cusack's always at night, very dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And another thing about the way it's shot, I don't know if we want to talk about this yet. But
yeah.
One of the things that Woody Allen does that I like is he has these long master shots, right? He doesn't cut very much. Now, he has his own reasons, I guess, for that, because he just wants to go home, right? So he just sets up a shot and he doesn't cut it.
I haven't heard that. Is that something you've heard?
Yeah, I've heard that he just doesn't want a long day and he wants to go home. He wants to set it up and...
I've never heard
Yeah.
I know Clint Eastwood likes to get home by 5 so he can play golf.
Yeah, well, Woody Allen likes to, I think it's baseball is his thing or something? Basketball?
Yeah.
So he likes to get to the basketball game. So, in fact, I think Chazz Palminteri in this movie said the only direction he got from Woody was, can you speed it up because of the game? Like I don't think. Yeah, he didn't really give him much direction. I think I remember that. That's a true story as far as I know.
Oh, that's funny. I hadn't heard that.
But. Yeah, but what it does, whatever his reasons, I'm sure those aren't his only reasons.
Probably not.
Right? But what it does is it creates a sense that you really are eavesdropping on something really happening. There's something about cuts. Cuts can be really effective, but cuts are like, you know, when you're a kid and you think you're doing magic, and so you do a thing and you go, okay, now close your eyes. right. You throw the thing away.
Yeah.
It's a little like that. A cut can be like that.
Yeah.
Right? Anything can happen between the cuts. So something happens when you have, you always hear people talk about, this thing is so great because it's a single shot. Oh, it's one shot. They did it all in one shot. Well, sometimes that's just people talking. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know why. Sometimes it's amazing to have a single shot because what it does is it says, this is really happening. You saw this happen right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
So he does that really well. You feel like the moments are uncomfortable and a little clumsy. The cuts clean things up a little bit. Cut out the fat and he leaves that in. And sometimes he does this thing where people can walk out of frame, but the camera stays where it is, right? So you're not even seeing the person who's talking. You never cut to them. And all you're getting is the reaction from the person left in the frame. It ends up being pretty gorgeous and working really well. And I think sucking people into the movie in a different way than cuts do, which I love cuts. They can work really well. But I like that he cuts so little.
There's a scene in this that I'm not sure if it's Woody Allen's directing or if it's the DP who is... what's his name? Carlo de Palma. I don't know who came up with it. But the scene, the first time you meet Dianne Wiest, starts with a shot of the stairs. Script comes flying down the stairs.
Right.
She's yelling about how terrible the play is.
Right.
She's talking to her agent, played by Harvey Fierstein. And she comes down, and they have a conversation, and then they move into the living room, and then back out into the hallway, and then into another room, and then back into the hallway, and the camera comes around 180 degrees, and it is a single take,
right?
but it's one of those things. I noticed it only because usually Woody Allen tends to like lock the camera down and have the actors move in and out of frame, like you said. But here the camera was actually moving, and I noticed it. Like I said, normally he locks it down,
right?
But it was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Yeah, and you know, unless you're paying attention, you never would have thought. It feels like it's done in cuts,
right?
It feels like it's done in cuts. But it's also to have the confidence in your script, in your material, to know I don't need coverage for this.
Right.
And the performances, too,
right.
Obviously. That's impressive. There's another scene in the steam room where Cusack goes to visit Jack Warden, who plays the producer.
Yeah.
And there is a cut in there. There's a cutaway. And it's all, again, it's the same thing. It's a one-off.
Right.
But then there's a cutaway to these two guys
Right.
who are like listening.
Right.
And the only reason I think it's in there is there must have been something in the take that was, it felt like the magic trick as a kid, like you were just
Close
describing.
your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could have been that. The other thing, though, I was once, one of the things I noticed it back in 1,000 years ago when I was a stand-up comic, but I noticed it with, you'll see it in movies, where sometimes you can set up something, a joke or something, and until you tell people how to react, they don't know how to react. Mm-hmm. So something funny may happen on a screen, but until you cut to somebody going, "Oh my God," people they won't react. It's a really strange thing. They almost need permission to know how to read what they've just seen.
Right.
And so John Cleese said he said, it's not funny to watch someone go crazy. It's funny to watch someone go crazy.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
That reaction is really important, and there may have been a reason that we can't know because we're not looking at the raw footage.
Yeah.
That cutting to those guys listening enhance the scene in some way.
Yeah.
It also could have been covering something up, which editors do all the time.
It definitely felt like something because there's, even in the wide shot when they walk around, they leave at the end of the scene. I was thinking, okay, they're going to pan and you're going to see those guys. But you don't. It felt very strange.
Yeah, it might have been.
It felt very strange.
Yeah.
But there's another great moment within that scene where they mention the gangster's name, and there's a guy in the foreground.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what you're talking about, I think. There's a guy in the foreground who's reading a paper by himself. And as soon as they mention the gangster's name, he kind of stops and looks over his shoulder to see who's talking about this guy.
Right, yeah.
So it's a clue to the audience, like, oh, this guy's somebody people know about.
Yeah.
So.
Which is something, that kind of reaction, that kind of response from that guy in the foreground is not something you see very often from filmmakers nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a lack of communication I see all the time where people we talked about this the other day, just on the street, where people think...
Where we hang out
on the street, on the corner.
Yeah.
Where people make these assumptions about their audience. Well, they know that. They know this. Right. They know that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes poor communicators.
Yeah.
And, the movies don't make sense and the stories don't work. And people often say, you'll say, well, that didn't make sense. And people go, well, I got it. No, that's not the same thing as communication.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes people talk in a confusing way and I understand what they mean. That's not the same thing as them communicating effectively.
Right. Yeah. Oh, the one other thing, there's another scene I was going to mention. And again, I don't know if it was Woody Allen that picked the location or if there was something that the production designer put it together, who's Santo Loquasto. There's a scene where Cusack is talking to Dianne Wiest, who's the star of his play.
Right.
And they're in the park, and this is like when he's starting to fall in love with her.
Right.
And they're sitting on a park bench, and behind them is just this wall of flowers.
Right.
This blooming, bright, colorful, and because the colors are very muted in this film. But in this scene, there's just this wall of bright, beautiful flowers. And it's just like, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, the colors are, they're sepia, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I guess, was it Conrad Hall who did that first? Or Gordon Willis, I think. I think Gordon Willis did it first. And then it became, he did it in Godfather 2.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then it became the thing to say, this is old.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that it's become part of the filmic language, but I think it was Gordon Willis on Godfather 2 who sort of came up with it, and I think that's sort of what they're tapping into is that faded photograph thing.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Yeah, especially when you do introduce a color.
Yeah. It reminds me of when they started making more movies in color and not so many in black and white. I read an interview with Hitchcock where a lot of directors were complaining about it. They wanted black and white. Orson Welles hated color. A lot of the directors hated color. And Hitchcock said he liked color. He said, they asked him, what do you think about color versus black and white? And he goes, well, I like color because then I can use it. Mm-hmm. For him, it was another tool. Yeah. Right? And that's the kind of thing you're talking about, right? You introduce the color and the flowers. And, So it's funny because that thing that Hitchcock said is the reason that I am alone in not hating 3D. because I think 3D, I think like color got exploited right away. Like first you just see nothing but color when color first shows up, and it's really bright and oversaturated and everything until people learn how to use it.
Right.
My hope is that somebody will figure out how to use 3D as a tool.
Yeah.
And so right now, like all these things switch over for money reasons, for commerce, right? We got sound because of it. We got color because of it. We got widescreen because of it. But sooner or later, people learn how to use those things.
Yeah.
You know?
So a couple years ago when DSLRs became the thing to shoot on, suddenly you had depth of field.
Right.
And so like every film I saw had a rack focus.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can rack focus.
Yeah.
Now the thing is like everybody's got to have their drone shot.
Right.
So all of a sudden there's all these shots from up in the air.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need that.
Yeah. When I worked in motion graphics, you'd see that a lot where, especially when it started switching over from film, which is what it was when I started, into computers.
Yeah.
You could tell when a new program arrived.
Oh, right.
Because every title had the Starburst or had the thing.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
you know, it became the look because it was possible.
Right.
People they tend not to restrain themselves and go, hey, this is a tool, I'll put it in my toolbox, and when I need it, I can use it.
Right.
They start making excuses to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screenplay, as I said, was written by Woody Allen and Douglas McGrath, which kind of makes me think I'd never heard of Douglas McGrath.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, is this like his Chazz Palminteri? Like Woody wrote,
Right.
Woody wrote a script that wasn't very good. This Douglas guy started telling him, like, you should have him say this. You should have him.
I don't know. I mean, you know, he's written a couple of people, Marshall Brickman.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did look this guy up. He does have other credits.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. But, you know, Woody Allen seems like such a solitary guy creatively. It's weird when he writes with somebody. You never hear about these people who write with him.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know who did what. I mean, because he directed it and because he co-wrote it, I'm going to credit Woody. You know what I mean? With everything.
Yeah.
Because he really had the final say. And there's no telling what this guy did or didn't do, right?
Yeah.
So, but the screenplay is really well focused.
Yes.
It's so focused. Another thing you don't see much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it knows what it's about. One of the first things in the movie is John Cusack hanging out with his bohemian, friends, and Rob Reiner's character, who Rob Reiner's really good, as this guy. But Rob Reiner's character, this playwright, is talking about setting up this idea, right, of art living, right? Art is a living thing. Art is, and he says, look, if there was a burning building, and you had to make a choice, right, and you had to either save some anonymous person or the last known complete work of Shakespeare or something like that, right? And John Cusack's like, well, you have to save the Shakespeare. It's like, because you can't deprive the world of those plays, they say, right? So it's like, well, no, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's a living thing, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so, but that's what it comes down to. That's what the whole story comes down to, right? It comes down to what people are willing to do for art.
Yeah.
Right. And Chazz Palminteri is willing to kill for it.
Yeah.
And willing to die for it.
Yeah.
Right. And Cusack really finds out he's not an artist because he's not willing to do those things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's not willing to go that far.
Let's say she was ruining the play. Does that mean that she deserves to die?
There was nowhere to fire her.
What kind of inhuman monster are you?
I think you better leave.
I don't think I will. I think I better stay.
You should be thanking me. We're both in this together.
No, we're not. Because I didn't want her dead, see? You understand what I'm saying? I'm not in it at all. I'm not in anything because
You choose her over the show.
Of course. Of course I do, yes.
You think it's right some Tootsie walks in and messes up a beautiful thing like this, huh?
I wanted a great play as much as you did.
No, not as much.
But you don't kill for it.
Yeah, who says?
This movie is so painful for me to watch because I relate to it so well. In the sense of, like, there's the scene where Palminteri, throughout the movie, we see them in rehearsals for this play that they're doing. And Palminteri is there as Jennifer Tilly's bodyguard. And so he starts giving suggestions. He's like, your place stinks. Nobody would talk like
Just give it a chance.
There's something contradictory about it.
Just give it a chance.
It's just bad writing.
Well, I've about had enough.
I'll tell you
of
what's
that.
wrong.
You've had it.
Oh, Christ, Julian.
Now, let's wait a minute. Let's not get into it.
I can't, look, she shouldn't leave the guy. She shouldn't leave the guy. She should stick with him. And then when the lieutenant has that fight with his wife and walks out, he should notice her. That way it won't be boring. Somebody say something.
I think it's a good idea.
It's not a bad one.
You're kidding.
And so then it kind of starts like that, and then eventually what happens is the cast and the crew from the play start agreeing with Palminteri, and Cusack is now in a position where he's like, well, screw you all. You know, it's like, I'm the author, I wrote this. And I relate to that so well. There's nothing worse than somebody coming in off the street, looking at your work and going, well, here's what's wrong with it.
Right.
And it's like, God, like, and it's not that they're wrong. It's
Right.
that you didn't see it.
Right.
And it's so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like when I watch this movie, it's just, I feel like, oh, I know this too well.
What is weird for me is I feel more like Chazz Palminteri.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Where for whatever reason, like we've talked about this before, but like some people are good at math. I'm not good at that, but I can go, well, that's what's wrong with that story. Like I can just point to it, and I don't know why I can do it, but I can do it.
Yeah.
And so it feels more like that. It's like it feels natural. I can't explain it any better than that.
Yeah.
It's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having written with you, yes.
Yeah.
It is. It is weird. It is like oh yeah. Because I'll see something and I'll go like, something's wrong with this.
Right.
But it takes me a long time to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Whereas I've seen you walk in and just go, that should be here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know why I can do that, but I can.
Yeah.
And so I feel more like Chazz Palminteri.
Yeah.
We're like, well, no, you just have to do this. And it feels, in fact, Cusack at one point, and it's funny because I've heard Woody Allen say this in real life in an interview, the same exact line, where he's saying to Chazz Palminteri, he goes, for you, it's so easy. He says, it's like for somebody who can draw, for instance, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. But for me, it doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
And Woody Allen said that about writing jokes. Like, it just makes sense to him, to his brain. It's really easy, which is funny because I think that's why he is so interested in doing drama, because jokes are easy.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
Right? So people tend to, it's funny, but people tend to disregard their gifts. They're too easy. Mm-hmm. Like, that's easy. Sure, I can play the piano like an angel, but who wants to do that?
Right.
Right? Brando was like that with acting, right? Who wants to do that? So easy.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's why what he does so many dramas, because that's a challenge.
It's a challenge for him, yeah.
He doesn't know how it works logically. But yeah, it's frustrating to be around someone who it's so easy to do these things that are so hard for you to do, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you do that? It seems like magic.
Right.
It seems like magic, and you can feel that in Cusack. That I get. I mean, I get it because there's a whole bunch of things I'm not good at.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
I get that frustration.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, as a guy who tries to write, I really relate to him. There's another great bit with Palminteri. Again, going back to the idea of like he's willing to die, he's willing to kill for his art. And it's great too because he starts talking about it as our play, because Cusack brings him in to kind of help him do some rewrites, and he starts to take more and more possession of this play. But there's a great scene where he figures out, or he's gotten hip to the fact that Jim Broadbent's character is having an affair with Jennifer Tilly's character, and he goes up to him as he's coming out of his apartment.
Oh, right.
And he goes, normally I would just kill you.
Right, yeah.
But you're a good actor.
Right, yeah.
So I'm going to give you a warning instead.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he doesn't want to sacrifice Broadbent.
Right.
But he should.
Right.
But in this case, he's a good enough actor that he's going to let him live. But then, of course, what happens is they take the play up to Boston to do a test run of it. And it goes great, except, what is it? Tilly can't do it.
She gets hurt.
She gets hurt.
Right. She gets hurt, so she can't do the matinee.
Yeah. And so the understudy does it.
Yeah.
And then that's when Palminteri's like, yeah, the play's great, except Olive's got to go.
Yeah.
And Cusack is like, well, we can't,
yeah.
she's got to be in it.
Yeah.
We can't fire her.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, get rid of her.
Yeah.
And so he, of course, ends up killing her, and then ends up being tracked down at the end. Which is great because Palminteri goes back. He comes to the opening night and he's being chased by these two gangsters that are now trying to kill him.
Right.
Shootout occurs backstage, and it's so great because at the end, Cusack goes to Palminteri as he's dying, and even as he's dying, he's still saying, "This character should come in at the end and say she's pregnant. It'll make it stronger." So even with his dying breath, he's like working on a rewrite, making the play better.
Yeah. There's also something really nice about when Jennifer Tilly is killed in the piece, because he sets up, the first time you meet Chazz Palminteri, he's knocking off a guy, he's killing a guy, right?
Yeah.
And the car pulls up to this, this dock, right?
Yeah.
And Lazy River's playing. Up a lazy river.
Right.
It's playing, and the car pulls up, and he sends the guy off onto this pier, and he shoots him. And they use exactly the same setup. They probably shot him the same day, right?
Yeah.
So they use exactly the same setup. The car comes up, and now it's Olive.
Right.
Right. And you know what's going to happen in a really great way.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about predictability all the time like it's the worst thing you can have.
Yeah.
But predictability is a tool, right? So when they pull up and you go, oh, the song's playing, this is the car, this is the spot, you're anticipating that that hit.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's better than the surprise.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress. Now, Dianne Wiest won for this.
Yeah. Well, she deserved that.
Yeah.
She deserved that. I thought she's one of my favorite actors in the whole world.
Yeah.
So I think she's underrated in a strange way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It seems like Meryl Streep gets all the flowers and roses thrown in front of her,
right?
For some reason, because accents, I guess. But
they are very hard to do.
I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from her. That's not what I mean to do.
Yeah.
But there's some really good actresses who don't get that same kind of praise, and Dianne Wiest is one of those people, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I kind of think Tilly deserves it.
Tilly's great in it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I would have been happy for either one of those
Yeah.
people. And Tilly, she's amazing in it.
But I think this is one of the situations, too, where it's like, I don't think people are aware that she's acting.
I think that's true.
Because she just seems like a stupid broad. She just seems like
so good in it, though.
Yeah.
It's the best part I think she ever played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things where it's like, it looks so easy to do. Yeah. But I think she's fantastic.
No, I think you're right. I think she's great. You can't give out two, you know.
Right.
But I mean, if you could,
yeah,
I would totally agree with you. I think they're both,
and they're very different.
Yeah,
very different performances.
They are, and that's the weird thing anyway about the awards.
Yeah, right.
It's like unless they're playing the same part, who's the best?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and even playing the same part, you know what I mean? Who would be like? They're making different choices.
Yeah.
You might have completely different characters in a way, so then who's the best?
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So,
you're right. Let's not do these awards.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Turn it off, Amy.
But you know what I mean? It's a weird...
Yeah,
it is. I mean, I would have been happy for either one of them. There's,
yeah.
You know, I was thinking about Dianne Wiest. I love her performance in Parenthood.
Oh, right.
I think her performance is amazing.
Yeah.
And she couldn't be more different than the person...
Yeah.
In Bullets, like they couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
You know, the person in Bullets she plays, Madge Sinclair.
Right.
Madge Sinclair has this. She's centered. She's a very centered person.
Very self-centered person too.
Yes, very self-centered, but also very centered. Like she knows who she is in the world in
a
different way, and she walks and moves with a different kind of confidence. Whereas in Parenthood, for example, that person has no idea who she is or what's going on, and has no confidence, and it's all in her body. It's all in her.
Yeah.
It's amazing how she can transform.
Yeah.
And not seem to be doing anything. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that performance is the one. I guess they shot for a couple of days, and Woody called her in and said, "You're terrible."
On this?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He said, "You're terrible." And she goes, "I looked at the dailies, and I was terrible." And he said, "Why don't you try dropping your voice?" And she goes, it was like that was it, and that was the character.
Yeah.
But until she did that, she says she was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
She's very Norma Desmond in this.
She's very Norma Desmond.
Yeah.
Norma Desmond, character in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is very Norma Desmond.
Yeah.
They're very similar.
Yeah.
And Woody Allen loves Billy Wilder.
Right.
As most filmmakers do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Nora Desmond wasn't.
The inspiration for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best supporting actor. There's a ton of people you could pick from here.
There are.
Jim Broadbent's great.
He's the
actor.
Yeah, he's the actor guy.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. Also,
the great gag with him is like, at first they're like, I don't know if we should hire him because he's overweight. Have you seen him lately? He's like, no, he's lost a lot of weight. So when you first see him at first day of rehearsals, he's like, would you like some donuts? He's like, no, just some tea with lemon would be great. And then like slowly through the rest of the film, he starts getting bigger.
Yeah.
his buttons undone on his coat.
Yeah.
And then he's like constantly pulling food out of his pocket.
Yeah. In fact, he gets in trouble for stealing food from the dog.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good in it. I think Chazz Palminteri is amazing in it.
That's who I would nominate.
Yeah, I think he's amazing in
yeah.
it. So is the gangster Olives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's really good, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chazz Palminteri, there's really a natural quality to his performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
You feel like he's just a guy who hurts people.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, he's acting. Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't, like Jennifer Tilly's performance,
Yeah.
he feels like he's not acting it. And it's interesting because, a lot of directors, and Woody Allen included, often say that directing is all about casting, right?
Yeah.
And he is good at casting.
Yeah.
He's really good at casting,
Yeah.
so he didn't have to say anything. It's like, I got Chazz Palminteri, he does what he does.
Yeah.
But he's perfect for that part.
Mm-hmm. And he's like a guy who just moves on instinct.
Yeah.
Like everything, like he doesn't filter what he says.
Right.
He's just like, I'm saying this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Your play stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
This is what would make it good.
Yeah.
There's no like, can I make a suggestion? It's just
I like the scene. It's actually the scene I was talking about before where Cusack saying, "Oh, for you, it's just natural. It all makes sense."
Yeah.
In that scene, it's in the pool hall.
You ever think about doing anything else?
Like what?
Like writing?
Writing?
Yeah.
Come on, I've been collecting for the mob since I was
You have a
16.
huge gift. No, I'm serious. It's uncanny. I mean, your instincts.
Let me tell you something.
Mag instincts.
Listen to me. Your play was very good.
Really enviable.
Your play was very good. You just didn't use your head. Sometimes people don't think.
Well, sure, for you, it's simple, you know? For someone who can draw, it all seems logical. But for someone who can't...
yeah.
And Cusack's asking Chazz Palminteri, "Well, what's it like to kill somebody?"
Right.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
And he kind of throws it away. It's
Yeah.
not like an important thing to him.
Yeah.
So what does it actually feel like when you actually
What?
kill a man?
Feels okay.
Feels okay?
Yeah.
Even the first time?
First time? First time was a punk in prison. He squealed on me and I stuck an ice pick in his back.
An ice pick?
An ice pick, yeah. I had to do it over and over.
his
40
back?
times. It was a mess. Forget about it.
But the way he throws it away is so great. It makes it more frightening.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But it makes it more frightening because it's so. He just tosses it off.
Yeah, it's just matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's like he's describing a trip to the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also the scene where that character says he wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, right.
He says, "You ever see George Raft dance?"
Yeah.
And it's the artistic side of him.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
that part
Yeah.
of him
Yeah.
that is able to write these plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
this play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I like him a lot in this.
I think he's great. Yeah.
Best actress. Could that be Dianne Wiest? There's not really a lead in this.
There's
but-
not really a lead. You know what it's up to them what they submit
Right,
people
yeah,
for.
yeah.
So I would say, yeah, she probably should have won Best Actress.
That's what
Jennifer
we'll
Tilly.
do.
Let's do that.
Helen, have you thought about what I said before about the way I feel? But I want to express
Don't speak. Don't.
just a few things that I want to tell you.
Don't
When we
speak.
first met,
No,
I was
no, don't speak.
ordered
Please
clothes
don't
to-
speak. Please
man.
don't speak. No, 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 go. Go, gentle Scorpio, go. Your Pisces wishes you every happy return.
Just one.
Don't speak.
Yeah, all right.
So, right, and Jennifer Tilly, Best Supporting.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Although I actually did like Tracey Ullman too. I thought she was
Oh, she's great too.
Yeah.
You know who's really good is the maid
She is good. Venus.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's funny.
Yeah.
And talk about throwing away lines.
She was really good
She
at
just
it.
kind of comes in and makes a U-turn and like tosses out her line and then goes back out.
She's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her relationship with Olive is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best actor, John Cusack. That was a very heavy sigh. Pause.
Well, you know, I feel bad for John Cusack, who I think is a good actor.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for him in this movie because one of Woody Allen's weaknesses, I think, is that he still wants to be in his movies.
Right.
And so he just writes a Woody Allen part.
Right.
And it kind of comes down to the person who's doing that Woody Allen part finding a way not to be Woody Allen.
Yeah.
A lot of people end up
Yeah.
doing impressions of Woody
Yeah.
Allen. Like,
Well, it's very hard to deliver a lot of those lines without hearing his voice.
Yeah, you know his voice so well.
Yeah.
Right? So, so that's in there. In my opinion, I thought he did a fairly good job of not sounding like Woody, where other people fall into an almost impression of Woody when they play that part. And he needs to not write that part anymore, I think. He needs to stop writing that part or be in a movie, but don't, you know, the leads tend to be Woody.
Yeah.
Even in Paris at Midnight, the lead is Woody.
Yeah.
You can tell the rhythms are all Woody's.
Yep.
The anxieties are all Woody's. Mm-hmm. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think to me he's the weak link in the cast. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it still works.
Yeah.
I think it's a great character.
Yeah.
I don't know if the performance lives up to the character.
Yeah, but again, I think that's just
like, what would this movie have been with a young Woody Allen in that part? That might not have worked either.
Nah, I don't know if it would have worked.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have worked. He may have written it slightly differently.
Yeah.
Chemistries would have been different too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
you
know, you put a different actor in there, and everybody's going to react to that actor differently too. So I don't know. I don't think
George Clooney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best director Woody Allen. You know, it's funny. To me, he's invisible, and yet he's all over this.
Right.
You know.
Right. But I think that's true of most good directors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're invisible. Yeah. I mean, except for a guy like Martin Ritt was completely invisible, I think.
Right.
And Sidney Lumet was often completely invisible.
Yeah.
I don't think you could be watching a movie and go, "Oh, this is Sidney Lumet."
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But Woody, you could always do that. I mean,
but I think that's the script. Well, no, it's also the style.
Yeah,
it's what we were talking about with the master shots.
Shots, his soundtracks, his, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. The rhythms of speech.
Yeah.
But that's in the script.
Yeah.
But, boy, that's tough. You know, did he win?
No, he was nominated.
He was nominated?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Who won?
I presume it was Zemeckis. Cleaning up with Forrest Gump.
Oh, right. Okay.
I assumed that.
Yeah, you're right, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that that was never gonna. You know what I mean? You weren't gonna beat Forrest Gump that year. That was not gonna happen. I remember when Gandhi was up against E.T. It was like, well, this is Gandhi. Gandhi can't lose to E.T. People will feel like they've done something wrong.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Best Picture.
It certainly deserved a nomination.
Yeah.
It's a really focused script. I mean, if it came out almost any other year, I think it would be a shoo-in for Best Picture.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, it certainly deserves a nomination.
Yeah.
I'm glad he got it.
I think, personally, like I said, I relate to this so much, I might vote for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. There's other stuff out there that's good and deserves nominations and deserves the Best Picture award, but I don't know. I think I might vote for this.
I could totally see that. It's a solid piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that's so good. Billy Wilder has a couple of movies like this where, because Bullets Over Broadway almost gets lost because Woody Allen's made so many movies.
Right.
And Billy Wilder has a couple of movies like this where, for anybody else, they would be like their masterpiece.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're kind of forgotten Billy Wilder movies like Foreign Affair.
Right.
Nobody talks about a Foreign Affair. They're always talking about Sunset Boulevard, me included. But Foreign Affair is really great.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. But if it was anybody else, it would be like their masterpiece, and you'd know all about it.
Right.
And I think that's probably true of this movie.
Yeah.
Too.
I forgot this movie came out this year. And so when I was going through the list of films, I was like, oh my God, I forgot. I was really excited because I didn't think there was that many movies that I liked from '94, but it turns out there's actually quite a handful. So
yeah, there are actually. It's not a bad year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we need to talk about this movie?
No, I can't think of anything. No, it worked.
Yeah.
The movie worked. Strangely, because it worked, there isn't that much to say about it.
Right.
It all worked.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing else to say.
Yeah. All right. Where can people tune in to find out more about you?
They can look for my blog, which I got too busy to update, but they can read all the old posts
right
at the Invisible Ink blog. Just look up Invisible Ink blog. It's a blogspot thing, but just look up Invisible Ink blog. You'll find it. They can also get my books on Amazon. Just look up Brian McDonald, Invisible Ink, and the other books will show up too. And
you tweet.
And I tweet, and what's my? It's at BMcD, I think.
Is that what it is?
I think so. I don't know.
We'll put it up on the site.
I think it's at BMcD.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Brian. For more information about the 2020 Awards, you can visit us at 2020awards.org. You can also follow us on Twitter at 2020 Awards, or you can like us on Facebook at the 2020 Awards. If you enjoyed the show today, please give us a nice rating over at the iTunes. And until next time, remember, it's never too late to start thinking about the past.